Welcome to a special edition of KOMU 8 News. I'm Jim Rake, and thanks for joining us this evening. It's election night across America. We're going to do something we've never done before. For the next hour and a half, we're going to bring you analysis and context about the Missouri races as well as the presidential race. On our new streaming platform, we want to remind you that this show will be streaming on our website, the KOMU mobile app, also on Roku and Apple TV. We hope you'll stick with us throughout the evening. Right now, we are broadcasting live from the studios here at the Reynolds Journalism Institute, RJI, on the MU campus. In the meantime, Emily Spain is holding the fort down at the KOMU 8 studios. How are you doing this evening, Emily?
Yeah, hey Jim, it's going to be a busy night, that's for sure. And you know, we've got about 10 teams totaling about 30 people all across mid-Missouri and the state. And I'll be joining you every half hour or so to bring you the latest on local returns. And we'll also have some live updates from the field. And as you know, Jim, NBC News will also have that extensive coverage of the presidential race. So if you want to keep Channel 8 on your TV and our streaming show on your laptop, your cell phone, we will have you covered for the night and well into the morning if we have to.
Election clerks started tabulating absentee and mail-in ballots early this morning. Polls opened at 6 a.m. in Boone County. A new tabulating machine was put to work to help with the large number of mail-in votes. There were thousands of mail-in and in-person absentee ballots in Boone County. KOMU 8's Matt McCabe joins us live via Skype from the county clerk's office downtown.
Jim, right now I'm at the Boone County Government Center. I'm on the first floor here, and if you just take a look behind me, they have all of these carts lined up, and these are ready to receive the precinct results as they bring them in after polls close. And actually, they just closed now shortly at 7 p.m., and so those will be here any minute now. We actually spoke to Boone County Clerk Brianna Lennon just minutes ago before we came on the air, and she said so far they know that they've had about 60,000, just more than 60,000 people so far today vote in person, but she said she expects that number to get closer to about 91,000 people. And the latest numbers for mail-in and absentee ballots is 28,000 ballots. So again, we've got all of this lined up just all around the first floor of the Government Center right now. The tabulating room itself that you talked about, Jim, it's up on the second floor up there in the corner, and they were busy in that room today. They had a second machine that was going to help them out counting all of the influx of mail-in and absentee ballots. And so we'll be here all night, and at 9 and 10 we're going to talk about the latest updates with numbers that we know, and of course watch the results as those start to come in. Live in Columbia, Matt McCabe, KOMU 8 News.
Okay, Matt, thank you very much. And of course, the biggest race in the Show Me State is the race for governor. As soon as we get numbers, we will start posting them. The incumbent Mike Parson is running up against the state auditor, Nicole Galloway. KOMU 8's Catherine Merck is live at Parson's watch party in Springfield. And Catherine, what is it like there?
Hello, Jim. I'm here at the convention center at the Bass Pro Shop in Springfield, where Governor Mike Parson's watch party is about to go underway. Now, most of the day so far has been campaign staff and media getting ready for the events that are coming later tonight. Earlier today, I spoke with Parson's communications director, who talked about COVID-19 safety going on at the event tonight. So we're going to take a look at the crowd that's here right now. If I could flip my camera around, you can see the first of the guests have started to trickle in. They have Fox News on in the background. Here is the podium where guest speakers will soon begin to start speaking, and the governor will eventually speak. And there's the rest of the room there. Now, the communications director told me that everyone here will be wearing masks. They're expecting about 250 people, and they're wearing those masks because Springfield currently has a mask ordinance in place. Now, behind me here, I did talk about how Governor Parson will be speaking there. The guest speakers will start to speak at around 8 o'clock. So for more updates on that, make sure to keep up with me on my Twitter at Catherine Merck TV and on KOMU 8 News' various social media accounts. But until then, reporting live in Springfield, this is Catherine Merck, KOMU 8 News.
Catherine, thank you very much. And now let's talk about the challenger who wants to unseat the incumbent. KOMU8's Aaron Davis joins us just a few blocks away at the Tiger Hotel here in downtown Columbia with Nicole Galloway's campaign.
That's right, Jim. Tiger Hotel is the last stop in what Galloway's campaign has been describing as a long day. She started in St. Louis this morning at about 7:30 and is ending here with what was scheduled to start at 7 p.m. Right now, we're in a room with just reporters, as you can see, and because the public is not allowed inside due to COVID-19 restrictions. While we're down here, Galloway is upstairs in a room with her family awaiting the election results. And her campaign told us she's not planning on coming down until she knows them. The campaign also said they're really excited and feel like they have good momentum behind the energy that they've been feeling all day. If the election is called tonight, we'll have Galloway's speech live streamed on KOMU's Facebook, and you can follow along on Twitter at Aaron Davis News, as I'll be keeping people updated with what is going on down here. Reporting live in Columbia, Aaron Davis, KOMU8 News.
Okay, thank you very much for that live report. And now let's take a look at Amendment 3, the ballot initiative, which would reform voter-approved Clean Missouri. Now, remember, the polls just closed, so we probably don't have numbers yet on Amendment 3. However, KOMU8's Elise Schoening has been following the returns, and she joins us now in the newsroom. Elise, what do you have for us?
Well, that's right, Jim. With Amendment 3 in the ballot, many Missourians are asking the same question over what it would actually do. Now, to recap, the amendment would eliminate lobbyist gifts and lower campaign contribution limits, but also change the way the state is redistricted and who's in charge of that process. Now, Missourians have seen an amendment like this before, just back in 2018, which created the nonpartisan position currently in charge of redistricting the state. And if Amendment 3 passes, it will undo what 62% of Missourians voted for 2 years ago. Since redistricting happens every 10 years with the census, we wouldn't get to see what changes it will make here in Missouri. Supporters of this amendment are calling it Fair Missouri for giving Missourians a second chance to choose who will represent them. And opponents of the amendment are calling it Dirty Missouri for confusing ballot language. And as you said, results are pouring in from across the state, and we'll continue to bring you any updates on Amendment 3 at KOMU.com. And we'll also have reactions from both sides of the issue tonight on KOMU8 News at 9 and 10. Reporting live from the station, Elise Schoening, KOMU8 News.
Okay, Elise, thank you very much. And as we said earlier, we have reporters all across mid-Missouri and the entire state of Missouri. Here's a look at some of the other races our crews are following tonight.
I'm Sydney Moran covering Vicki Hartzler as she runs for her 4th term to represent Missouri's 4th congressional district. She's a Missouri native, lifelong farmer, and a small business owner. She says this office requires somebody who has experience not only in office, but in real life.
I'm Marion Bouchon. I'm covering Lindsay Simmons as she runs for her 1st congressional term in office. She attended Harvard Law School, worked as an attorney, and she wants her voters to know that she's married to an active duty military member. I spoke to Simmons, and she says that this congressional race comes down to getting rid of someone who agrees so closely with President Donald Trump.
I'm Alex Engel covering Caleb Rowden's state Senate campaign. He's the current Senate Majority Leader and incumbent. He was previously a state representative. He says his record of results and experience is what makes him qualified to keep serving mid-Missouri.
I'm Avery Everett covering the Judy Baker campaign for the Missouri State Senate. Baker is a Columbia native. She worked for the Missouri State House of Representatives and also the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. With COVID-19 as a top issue this election, Baker hopes voters will note her passion and dedication for public health.
I'm Marina Silva covering the 3rd District congressional race here in Missouri between Blaine Luetkemeyer and Megan Rezovic. Luetkemeyer has held this seat since 2008, and he says he feels pretty good about how today will go. KOMU8 has tried to reach out to Megan and has not heard back for 2 months.
I'm Lauren Schwenker, and I have been following the Southern Boone County Commissioner seat. Republican Fred Perry is running again for his 2nd term against Democratic nominee Justin Aldred. Perry believes that he will be the best fit because he has the most experience. Perry was a former longtime magazine publisher and served on the Columbia Housing Authoritative as a commissioner. Justin Aldred is from Ashland and previously worked under State Auditor Nicole Galloway. Aldred thinks he will be the best pick because he will bring more communication and transparency from the county government.
I'm John Jenko covering the Boone County Commissioner Northern District race between Democratic incumbent Janet Thompson and Republican Tristan Asbury. Thompson is a former public defender who was first elected in 2012. She feels confident about the race today, saying her work funding internet hotspots and utility assistance shows her ability to address issues person by person. Asbury is a business owner in Boone County. We reached out to him multiple times throughout the day. We have not heard back. His campaign website says Asbury supports fiscally responsible county budgets and wants to see more money put towards the improvement of road infrastructure.
Well, welcome back to the special edition of KOMU 8 News. Once again, I'm joined by former White House correspondent and journalism professor Kathy Kiley, but I'm also joined by political science professor Mitchell McKinney via Skype. And Professor McKinney, how are you doing this evening?
I'm great, Jim. How are you?
What are your takes in the early going? I mean, the polls just closed an hour ago here in Missouri, and your opening thoughts?
Well, naturally, what I've seen, it doesn't look like there's any sort of so-called blue wave. That might suggest that this is going to be yet another nail biter. We'll be looking at states. We'll be looking at a very close margin, and so that might mean maybe not even a late night. It may be more protracted in the next few days.
Talk to us about the differences between Joe Biden as a candidate tonight and Hillary Clinton 4 years ago.
Well, when you look at some of the county by county in the key states, some of the returns at this point, in some of those key counties and key states, it looks like perhaps that Joe Biden is ahead of what Hillary Clinton was pulling in several of those counties in several of those states, again by 2, 3, 4, 5 percentage point. And then when you drill down and you look at, say, for example, North Carolina, in the states that are heavily African American voters, where Hillary Clinton didn't pull as well as Barack Obama did in both of his runs, in both of his elections, that there's some early evidence that, again, in key states and key areas with key voters, Biden may be doing a little better. So I think then the question is, overall, statewide, will we say at the end of the night, or again, when this is all over in the next day or two, did he do well enough?
Kathy, same question for you.
The biggest difference between Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton is that Joe Biden is a man. And I hate to say it, but misogyny is very much a factor in elections. And you don't have to be a male to be a misogynist. There are still a lot of people in this country who have a hard time with the idea of women and power. And I just say this because I covered politics for decades, and I saw it over and over again. I think women candidates have a much harder, a much steeper hill to climb than male candidates do. And to the extent that Joe Biden is outperforming Hillary Clinton, I think that is one of the biggest factors.
And I think maybe we have some governor's numbers here, if we can put those up behind me. There we go. Okay. 16% of the precincts reporting, and Nicole Galloway has a huge lead over the incumbent. If you jump down there to the lieutenant governor's race, I'm somewhat surprised about that, because Mike Kehoe, very popular lieutenant governor and very popular state senator, they're with the Secretary of State. Well, that's only with 1% of the precincts reporting, and they're on the Secretary of State, Jay Ashcroft, with a pretty good lead over the person in second place. State Treasurer, once again, a pretty good sized lead by the Republican Scott Fitzpatrick. And can we see the Attorney General's race? Once again, it's Eric Schmidt with about a 10,000 vote lead. The 3rd Congressional District, Blaine Luetkemeyer with about an 8,000 lead. Vicki Hartzler, once we only got 2% reporting there, so that's not very much. And District 5, Emmanuel Cleaver with a lead. District 6, ooh, that would be a shocker. Sam Graves, the incumbent, is behind in the early going. District 8, Jason Smith with a sizable lead. And then we've got the state senator race. Well, we don't have any numbers there. So
thanks for watching KOMU8 News. For your Smart Decision 2020 coverage, I'm Emily Spain. We have dozens of reporters following races across the state tonight. Let's begin with KOMU8's Marissa Rios, who is live at the Boone County Clerk's office. Marissa?
Emily, we just found out within the last half hour that 80% of active voters have voted here in Boone County. Now, the energy here at the Boone County Government Center is really starting to pick up. Let's give you a look around as election judges are starting to make their way in separate polling locations, 76 different polling locations, bringing those precincts in where they will then be placed on different carts all around here. So separate different carts all around from those 76 polling locations. And those votes, they're simple. They're coming in on a simple USB stick. They're going to be uploaded upstairs on a computer from their flash drive and just sent in, counting those votes. Now, workers have been here since the early morning, since polls opened, counting all those absentee and the mail-in ballots, and that wrapped up around 3 p.m. this afternoon. Now, by the time the night is over, Lennon says she expects about 92,000 total votes from Boone County, and she expects a quicker turnaround for votes to get here as the lines have shortened up by the end of the day. Now, on the clerk's website, they're going to be showing unofficial totals throughout the night. Reporting live in Columbia, Marissa Rios, KOMU8 News.
Well, Amendment 3 will determine if 2018's Amendment 1, also known as Clean Missouri, will be reformed. Let's take a look at those numbers so far tonight. With just 1% of precincts reporting, the yeses have it for now with 57% of the vote, and noes have 43% of the vote opposing amending the Constitution. KOMU8's Alyssa Jackson is here with more on what Amendment 3 would do if it passes. Alyssa.
Yeah, Emily, constitutional amendments like this can be kind of confusing. Amendment 3 would essentially undo another amendment that passed back in 2018. Now, voters might remember Clean Missouri approved redistricting by a demographer who is not tied to a political party. If Amendment 3 passes tonight, Clean Missouri would not take effect. Supporters of Amendment 3 really say they want to give Missourians a shot for a second chance to have someone represent their interests. Opponents say this amendment passing would take away the voices of minority and low-income Missourians. In the studio, Alyssa Jackson, KOMU8 News.
Here's a look now at the numbers for Missouri in the race for the White House. These candidates need no introduction. Of course, Biden with 59% of the vote, Donald Trump with 39% of the vote, with 18% of precincts reporting. We'll continue to keep you updated on Missouri's races right here on KOMU8 News throughout the night. You can find the latest numbers scrolling there on the bottom of your screen, as well as on our website, KOMU.com.